Welcome everyone to the call the meeting to order here, the Board of Directors for the Columbia 911 Communications District. Do a roll call here. We have myself here in person in the 911 Center. I see Bruce Holsey on the line, and Mr. Heimuller, and Mr. Anderson, and Ms. Hennessy. Looks like we have a full complement.
Yep.
Welcome, members, guests. Is there any public comment at this time?
Tyler Miller, Staffing City Council. I have public comment.
Yes, sir.
I'll make this brief again. Tyler, for the record, Tyler Miller, Staffing City Council, 335-680 Columbia Avenue, Scappoose. I just want to make a request that if there's any new information regarding the radio system report or the radio system in general, that if the board intends to make any decision regarding that topic, that decision be delayed until there's time for public comment on any of that new content or any of that new discussion that is presented in today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment? Okay.
Doesn't look like it.
Hearing none, we will move. Are there any additions to today's agenda? Boy, I'm having a hard time speaking.
None from staff.
Okay. Board, any additions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the September 23rd, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve those minutes as presented this time, Mueller.
I'll go ahead and second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the September 21st meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? I said 21st, it's actually 23rd, which I said correctly the first time and not the second time, so motion carries. Financial reports. Any questions for Nancy or?
Yes, just the typical. Does Nancy have anything worth pointing out or any areas of concern?
No, I don't.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the finance report as presented.
Just to clarify, Mr. Anderson, would that include the acceptance of the budget variance and the approval of expenditures?
I was just talking about the budget variance,
Okay.
sorry.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if I heard a second or not, but if not, I'll second.
Thank you, sir. It's been moved and seconded to approve the budget variance as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we got the approval of the expenditures.
Mr. Chair, I had one question on those, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
On the check number 30458 to Christensen Electric on the security upgrade, did that complete that project?
I believe that was the last one.
Last payment, there's a couple outstanding things that they are actively working on.
I'm having a hard time hearing whoever that was there. I'm not sure.
Yes, it was the last payment. Nancy's shaking her head, yes, but they are actively working on a couple last quality things, making sure everything works perfectly for us.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and move to approve the expenditures as reported. From check number 30412 through check number 30460, including electronic payments and transfers for a grand total of $332,050.58.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve checks number 30412 through 30460, including electronic payments and transfers for a total of $332,050.58. Any further discussion?
I was
Hearing.
going to say, hopefully those blinds are good.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, operations manager.
So we currently have 2 trainees and we have 4 applicants in backgrounds. As far as inquiries go, we did have 2 external this last month, and one of them was a system issue that resulted in training, and then the second one was also a training issue. So those were handled. Otherwise, we are getting ready for our mandatory training next month on the 5th and 15th for our dispatch staff. We just opened up an internal process for lead promotion for the vacancy that we have from Danelle moving to GIS. And we will be posting for the program coordinator position fairly soon. And otherwise, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Technical manager.
So we received our lighting rebate for $9,412. Network, we moved over to the new SD-WAN solution, and so far we've noticed higher bandwidth and faster speeds in downloading files from the server to the workstations. We're aggregating 4 internet connections to load balance all the traffic by redundancy. GIS specialist, we have introduced Danelle over to our side, so she's working hard and getting caught up and learning very quickly, already teaching me new things. And we are working with ODOT to start getting live streams into dispatch.
Fun. Any questions for Nathan? Welcome to know. Okay, we will move on to old business.
Ooh, you know what? Just making a note here. Thank you. Old business radio systems. Dixie Mountain, there's no update other than conversations between M&I and Day Wireless regarding the request from the FAA for schematics. That's a work in progress. Alternate radio site coverage improvements. This is all tied to the Washington County radio system upgrade, which have been pushed back, so there's no new update there. I'm going to skip over the next gen radio system improvements and keep moving down because I'm going to circle back around to that. Clatskanie, right now there's no issues there other than we have a microwave link from the current Meisner site to Clatskanie, and there is a known technical problem that Day Wireless is scoping out. It could be at either side. Our suspicion is Meisner, but it does impact that link, so that's being worked on. Tow services contract, that's in the hands of the county, so I have no update. Ambulance service area, that's with County Public Health, and so that's outside of our scope, so I have nothing to report on there. I'm going to Corey Hill, circle around here. Corey Hill, we're almost done with the break-in repairs and replacements. The generator is complete, and we're finishing up with Day Wireless. I've having weekly updates with them. That should be wrapping up here very shortly. Radio site relocation study. So I'm going back to that. So we are continuing our conversations with Cowlitz 911. Those are productive. Something did happen this last week, so there's no good way to talk about this, but Mark Palins, our RF engineer, unexpectedly passed away last week. And as you know, the board approved some work with him at the June meeting. So we're kind of hanging in the balance, not only us, but Cowlitz 911 contracts with him as well to do RF studies for themselves. So we're working together to try and solve that problem. Have conversations with Federal Engineering. I've sent them a request for a quote to replicate the work that Mr. Palins was contracted to perform for us. Has there been work done from Mark for us? I don't know. We haven't been billed for it, and I don't know if we ever will. So that's going to just kind of be hanging there. No monies have been expended for that project for Palins and Associates. So my intent is I have a meeting again next week with Federal Engineering regarding our request for a quote. I will be circling back around with you probably next month and give you an update of what we're doing or what our plan is.
Mike, do we know, is Palins and Associates a one-man shop, or?
I've never understood who Associates were.
Okay.
I think it was a one-man shop. He never referenced anyone else that was working with him. So I'm going to circle back around to the next-gen radio system improvements. Following, as you were all there, last month, Federal Engineering presented their final report to you, and we've had conversations with our user boards. In fact, we've had there've been several sidebar conversations with multiple folks regarding that report and the recommendations, questions, concerns, etc. And that's including you, the board members. So what I was hearing individually was a request for Federal Engineering to return at a future time for a standalone work session. The only thing we're going to be talking about is the report and the questions of the board, staff, and the user agencies. Earlier this week, the district held its quarterly advisory committee meeting, and it was very well attended, and the staff and the user agencies were engaged. And so, just a moment here. So the bulk of that advisory committee meeting centered on the Federal Engineering report and the next generation public safety radio system and their recommendations. There was a general conversation about the overall Federal Engineering report, and the focus of those conversations really centered on the 4 outlined system alternative comparisons. That's page 4 of their final report. My request of the advisory committee was for them as a group to provide staff and you, the board, offer advice or any feedback that they could provide and what next steps they wanted to see for this project. Collectively, the stakeholders seek additional information and education from FE regarding the best solution for Columbia County, and this mirrors your intent to me. I shared that FE is very interested to continue this work and had some suggestions on how best to move forward. So if you look in my, what they do, struggling here, to better help FE, who in turn will provide this district an efficient and focused conversation, it was their suggestion that it would be best for us to narrow our interest for a smaller and focused conversation on specific options that have been presented to you. Again, with the advisory committee, the conversation ensued, and really it came down to the differences between VHF 7 and the 2800 proposals. We reviewed the statement of work of FE and what they were required to deliver for their project with us, and that answered some of the questions the users asked about other alternative solutions that were not included in the report. There were conversations regarding our current platform, VHF, and the inherent problems with that radio spectrum. There were concerns raised regarding the option of either the CRESA or the WCN systems and a sense of lack of control over possible system changes. There was recognition that the option of partnering with either CRESA or WCN brings with it a proven track record of experience, competency, and performance. The option of the 911 district owning and operating its own either 700 or 800 system would require the district to outsource all maintenance and support to a third-party vendor, and that consideration would need to be made for the physical space required to house a system core infrastructure. That space does not exist today, so that would have to be addressed. There were conversations about the total system cost and the impact on county property taxpayers and the potential impact of other taxing districts. Staff reiterated that cities, public safety agencies will not have any upfront or ongoing costs associated with the 700 or 800 new radio system. That's option one. Option one is the VHF, which will not require any new subscriber radios. Existing radios will remain as they are today. But the cost of the 700-800 solutions does require new subscriber radios. The only cost for radios that an agency may need to expend, even if we go to 700-800, is should an agency lose, destroy, or expand their current fleet. There were some conversations about taxing impacts for existing or other taxing authorities. Staff reminded them that a GEO bond that Columbia 911 would pursue will cover the cost of the system of uplift, the initial portable and mobile radios, and should we partner with either CRESA or WCN, who both those agencies charge an annual user fee per radio, as well as we would pay for annual maintenance for the radios for a period of 10 years. As a reminder for everyone, regarding a stated concern that a GEO bond acquired by Columbia 911 for any new radio system may impact another taxing authority ability to collect. This is not accurate. As per Oregon local budget law, GEO bond taxes are excluded from limitations by Measure 5. A Columbia 911 general obligation bond will not impact other taxing authorities' ability to collect on their permanent or special option levies, i.e., if there's a concern for compression, GEO bonds are exempt from that. The consensus of the group was the importance of coverage, performance, and interoperability for today and looking forward to the next 10 to 20 years. At the conclusion of the meeting, the advisory committee recommends to the Columbia 911 Board of Directors, A, to seek a follow-up work session with federal engineering, 2, to focus the conversation on options 2, 3, and 4. As a reminder, option 2 is to own and operate a 700 system. Options 3 and 4 is to partner with CRESA or Washington County, Clackamas, Newburgh 800 megahertz systems. They want a focused conversation and have a conversation regarding ownership versus partnership. If partnering, the control of the system and unanticipated changes and or costs associated with that, and any ongoing maintenance of any new 700-800 system. That concludes just remembered one thing. Mr. President, I'm going to have to go backwards on the Meisner site. But any questions so far?
It sounds like their concerns are our concerns as well, so that's good. We're aligned.
If we're doing go backs, I'll have a question when you're done, Mike.
Very good. I do have one thing, and I apologize. This got buried in my paperwork. So our question yesterday on this was whether this is new business or old business, and it's technically old business. So I'm going to go backwards to the Meisner site improvement. So that site improvement is tied directly to the upgrade that Washington County and Clackamas County is doing to their radio systems. Their system upgrades have been pushed back several times, and it got another pushback not long ago. They're expecting to go live on their new system within the first 2 weeks of December. What does that mean for us? Once it's up and stable, then they'll start some decommissioning of some existing radio sites, and that's important to us because we're getting those towers. The tower site that we are collecting from them, they expect to be decommissioning possibly January. So that pushed our project back a little bit to align with that. For that project also, as you know, there's civil work to be done at that site. We have a construction manager. He's subcontracted to Cushing Engineering. And there was a need for what's called front-end documents. And those are the RFP documents that the construction manager is going to publish, seeking bidders for the civil work that needs to be done up there. Columbia 911 doesn't have experience developing those front-end documents. In doing my homework on previous projects, those front-end documents were provided and produced by the various contracted vendor. Most recently it was Day Wireless for Clatskanie. So we don't have those. Our legal rep, our attorney, was more than happy to do that, which I appreciate. They have lots of experience with that, but of course it comes at a much higher billable rate. So the construction engineer as well has experience developing front-end documents. So we contracted with Bryce to produce those. Our legal counsel assisted to make sure everything was in alignment with Columbia 911. And so while we have a contract with Cushing with a cap on it, this was a new charge outside of that project plan. So we have an invoice of $3,170. I understand that it's within my spending authority, but because it's attached to this project, I wanted to bring it to your attention to make sure that you are aware that this is above and beyond the project scope that we originally had. So I'm just seeking approval for expenditure of $3,170. That's for the front end construction documents.
Mike, what was the total cost of their contract?
For Cushing is $79,000 and some change.
All right, well, I would move approval of this front-end work, especially if it was cheaper than what our legal counsel was going to do with it.
So Henry has moved
I'll
it.
second.
Thank you.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the Cushing invoice for the front-end work on the project. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So getting back to the FE report, the request from the advisory committee, I have had some preliminary conversations with federal engineering about coming back to revisit with you and the users regarding focus conversation. If the board agrees with that, I will re-engage with Federal Engineering. I already have a meeting scheduled with them first of next week as a follow-up for this, and we can start aligning calendars.
Well, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I just want to, I guess, probably acknowledge my ignorance, perhaps, in this process, in the fact that I hear all of that data, and last month our presentation was comprehensive and sound, I thought. However, I got to admit, I still left there without any kind of clear understanding, which I perhaps mistakenly expected of professionals, not just federal, but our staff and our users and everybody else, basically saying, we've evaluated this, we've analyzed this, and this is absolutely, without a doubt, the way to go. Here's that direction. And so I look forward to another conversation, because I hope that, I never heard anything last month that said to me that 700 or 800 is worth double or triple the price of VHF, especially when I'm hoping, if we're paying, and I don't have any problem paying that kind of money, if I can go out to our constituents and say, absolutely, without a doubt, this is going to get you better service, and this is going to, save police officer and firefighters' lives, and this is going to absolutely do this work. I didn't hear any absolutes, and I don't know if I was just listening for too much or wanting a signed affidavit that guaranteed something or whatever, but I felt like I got a lot more information, but I still, if you guys would have forced me to vote last month, I wouldn't have voted for the 700 or 800 stuff based on the price and not a whole lot of assurances. So I hope all of you guys can help clarify that in my mind, or federal or other partners can help me get to a better point in that decision-making process, because I think it's a big deal to have our users at risk, but I also think it's a big deal to go out to our taxpayers and ask them to support a general obligation bond in the amount that we're talking about, without absolute assurances that it's going to get us what we hope for. So there's my confession for the day. Help me out.
If I could jump in there, you're not wrong. The deliverables we asked for was to have them review and compare and contrast the 4 options that we did receive in the RFI process. And clearly those 4 options are apples and oranges. While 2 of the options are the same, they're 800 megahertz. It's just the difference between those 2 is one partnering with WACA, the other one with CRESA. The other 2 are different: own and operate a 700 or own and operate a VHF platform. And so they did that. They looked at those, and of those 4 solutions, they came up with a recommendation. But it leaves a lot to be discussed yet. Why? Justification for their solution. Completely legit. And I think that's why they were, when speaking with them in regards to this meeting today, that's why they suggested that to be most productive, let's focus the conversation. We could repeat and have that same basic meeting that we had last month talking about the 4 options, but their opinion is we're just going to continue to swirl and not find a true direction that you're interested in. But if you wanted to focus the conversation, which is what the advisory committee discussed this week, and narrow it down to, do you want to talk about just the CRESA solution and why they believe that's the best? Or do you want to compare it to the CRESA versus the WACA solution? That's legitimate. Do you want to look at the 800 plans regardless of which hosting facility and compare it to owning and operating a 700? That's legitimate. Or do you just want to talk about VHF? And another option that they gave is clear the table and just say, let's go out for an RFP. But even in that process, their suggestion is you're going to want to narrow what your ask is of an RFP. And just throwing out a wide net saying any vendor, any potential solution in any spectrum will get you what we got in the RFI. You'll get different vendors offering different solutions, and you will be right back where we are today. So that was their suggestion to focus, and that was what the advisory committee heard, and that was their recommendation. Let's have them come back and talk about the 700 solution, owning and operating, or hosting, being hosted by a Cresa or a WACA. Because I believe you're all right. There are questions. There are legitimate questions about coverage, performance, maintenance, ongoing after 10 years. What's the cost? What could be? There's a bazillion questions we can ask. So I agree.
And I think the question that is in my mind that I'm going to have satisfied in some way is I think that the 700 and 800 stuff to our users may have some sex appeal to it, and also a functional thought in their mind that what we have now doesn't work ideally, so anything is probably an improvement over VHF. But again, I think I have to have somebody be able to graph that out that says we are actually going to see an improvement for an additional $20 million or whatever it is. That's going to have a lifespan of X years, and it's really going to do what it is. Because the thing is our users also aren't the ones that have to necessarily go out and get the bond passed and then assure all the administration of said bond. And not that they wouldn't be there right there to help us. I get that, but yeah. Nonetheless, this board and this district are the ones that are going to have to make the ask, and then if it doesn't work or if we have problems, we're the ones that are going to stand there and have to take responsibility for it. The vendor's not. It's just not going to happen that way. We carry the responsibility of it. So I'm not slamming anybody's ideas. I'm just saying that that's kind of where I'm at.
Noted.
Any other comments for Mr. Fletcher? Henry,
my comment.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was saying my comment was going to be separate from the next gen. We're done with this discussion.
I'm done.
Okay, Mike, I was curious with your issues that we're having going over Clatskanie, the microwave. Is there a timeline expected for that to be resolved now that they're getting it narrowed down? And is it just causing some quality issues, or is it putting the entire site offline when it occurs?
So the sign and symptom that we were having was some weird anomalies with, and it was very sporadic on the law side, and it was narrowed down to the microwave link between Meisner and Clatskanie. I signed off a quote for a lift to inspect the dishes. The money it's the Meisner site. That's our best guess at this point. So then the next question is, are we functional today? Absolutely. They turned off that link, and so it resolved the problems that we were having. To rectify the permanent solution, again, that's part of the investigation we think we know what it is. We think it's the dish at Meisner. And then it directly goes into how much money do we want to spend today versus we know that entire system's coming down and we're rebuilding that site with new equipment. So, we're functional right now, we're operational, we haven't lost anything. It's just how much money do we want to spend fixing something that we're going to tear down in literally 2-3 months.
So it's not impacting end users at this time.
It is not.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns for Mike? Was that the conclusion of your report then? or-
Yeah, just let me check. I think so. Yes, it is. Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, so new business. Are we there yet, or are we?
We are, yes. So there's an SDAO conference. It's going to be held virtually. It's February 10th through 13th. I believe we have everybody pre-registered.
They haven't opened it yet, but it's
Oh.
going to be a hybrid. It's going to be partial in person, partial virtual.
Where's it being? Oh, it's in
It's in
Eugene.
Eugene.
That's right. So if you're interested, please let us know. If you want to attend in person, we'll make arrangements for that. Also coming up is Northwest Leadership Seminar, and I believe that will be held in person. At least that's what they're saying today. It's March 2nd through 4th, and it's usually held at the Jansen Beach. Is it the Red Lion? I can't remember
It's
what.
at the Holiday Inn Columbia Riverfront. I wrote it down.
Thank you.
Is that a new place? It's
It
in
must
Portland.
be. Oh, okay. That is a different place. Let us know if you're interested in attending that. I had under new business Mr. Palin's, and we've covered that. I've concluded my director's updates, Mr. President.
Okay. Well, with that, we're going to move into executive session under ORS 192.6602B, Discipline of Public Officers and Employees. Take just a couple minutes here to get switched over.
Thank you. So-
Tyler's here. If I may ask a question really quick, do we just get brought back into the meeting, Nathan, or how's that going to work?
I'm
when
just gonna-
executive session's over?
I'll throw you in the waiting room.
Okay, thank you.
And so the question was asked if there would be decisions made after going back into open session. The answer is yes. And just throw it out there, our next meeting is scheduled for Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
I'm just going to guess we're going to move it, but that's going to be the decision that needs to be made.
Okay.
You can just cook something
Not going
here.
to cater it?
Yeah, we could.
Okay, we'll be back.
And we are just checking recording. Yes, we are recording.
Back in open session. All right, we need to make a decision on the November meeting.
Yes, the next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November 25th. We could have Thanksgiving here. I suspect you might not want to.
Do we entertain not having a November meeting, or would that not be prudent with trying to fit in a work session potentially with FE?
I will certainly know more. I have a meeting Monday with them. We'll discuss schedules, but right now I haven't a clue what their schedule is, and then I'm going to ask them for potential dates, and then I will send them out to you as well as the users.
Would the prior Thursday work for everybody, the 18th, or Thursday the 18th?
The 18th wouldn't work for me because I'll be at an AOC convention that week, but that's, yeah.
Okay. Alternatively, I guess maybe the week of Thanksgiving earlier, but I'm not sure how that works for people, and holiday or vacation schedules. And
I know I would be unavailable all that week.
okay.
So in the past, we have combined our November and December and held it towards the beginning of December, like the week of the 9th.
Does that work for folks? Thursday, December 9th?
This is Henry. I can make either the 9th or the 16th work.
Same with me.
I think the 9th or the 16th work for me too.
The 9th would work for me, but not the 16th.
I think we have a winner.
Oh, Rob? We got 4.
So far, it's looking good on the personal. I was just checking the work calendar. Actually, no, I don't work that day. So the 9th would be good, yes.
Excellent.
We'll make a note of that.
Perfect. Okay, other business member comments. Mr. Heimler, would you like to start?
You know what? I've been commenting, seems like the whole meeting, so I just look forward to some more information from FE and that, because it's a big decision we've got to make.
Agreed. Mr. Anderson?
No, my condolences to those associated with Mark Palins. It's sad anytime anyone passes away. He's been assisting us with projects for quite a while. So I don't know, are we sending anything to his office, or flowers or a card?
Flowers and a card. Yes, sir.
Okay. Beyond that, when we talk about radio stuff, I know we kind of liked his involvement as an objective third party, kind of reviewing everything, just to vet things rather than it just all coming from one source. So it sounds like, we just want to make sure that we keep that objectivity throughout this process, so everything is well vetted. Thanks for the correspondence, the email, keeping up to date on everything going on. Regarding the email that went out in the follow-up.
Thank you.
Bruce?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Okay, how about Shelley?
Nope, I don't have anything.
Okay, that leaves me. I just want to echo some things Henry said. I won't repeat them, but regarding the radio system, I think it's all really good points, and he probably spoke for most of us, just our curiosities and wonderment on the whole thing. So, yeah, I look forward to more information on that. Definitely condolences to the Palins family. And you guys may have heard I ascended to executive director at the port. I don't believe that should affect my presence on this board. I haven't had any direction to say otherwise, and I don't expect to. And I definitely see the value in this entity here, so I hope to continue to be a part of it. And that's all I had.
And congratulations, Sean. They made a good choice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
See
you.
you the 9th, probably.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.